What is going on, my lovely ladies and gentlemen of the world? I'm mad. What else is new? So obviously it's time to record a Nate Talks. For a couple reasons. The first of which is UNIST. I also know. I mean, you always know, like, a lot of people don't pay attention to description boxes. But I recorded the most recent UNIST Replay Theater a day before they announced the PC port was coming on August 20th. And I said in it something along the lines, I can't remember exactly what I said, but I said something along the lines of, like, I'm actually surprised they haven't announced a PC version yet, and at this point I'm actually kind of starting to think that there just won't be a PC version, because it's been so long. Like, surely if they were going to make one, we would have heard about it by now. And, of course, one goddamn day later, less than 24 hours later, hey, by the way, PC port of UNIST coming August 20th. Look forward to it. Fuck you guys, man. They knew. They got a spy. Corporate spies are in my house. They're listening, man. Everybody's always listening. They hear everything. It's just shit tier timing. But so I put in the description box, like, I'm pretty sure I remember talking about this, but they announced it. And of course, despite that, I appreciate the people that were looking out for me, but still, it would have taken one whole second to just read that shit. It was at the very top. You didn't even have to click show more. It was just right there. But regardless, to what I actually wanted to talk about is that it's coming out. Very much looking forward to it. I'm very much going to get it. I'm going to hop onto it, and hopefully it explodes and 50 billion people buy it and play it, and they play online, and I get to play a ranked game, finally, for once in my goddamn life. And I'll actually get good at the game, and I'll play Enkidu, who is terrible, because they're probably not going to rebalance the game. That's going to make me really goddamn sad, but regardless of all that, I'm still going to do my utmost to enjoy myself, because I really like the concept of Enkidu as a character. It's just a bunch of discrepancies in his design and how his moves actually work that they just don't really play out very well, and it makes me mad, it makes me sad, but I love the character, I love his visuals, I love his concept, so fuck it, I'm going to play him! But the problem is, for some reason recently, this only started happening about, like, maybe a month and a half ago? I can't remember when the first one happened. But I got a copyright notification on a song in one of the videos. One of the UNIST videos. And so I was like, huh, that kind of came out of the blue. And it wasn't even, like, one of my more recent videos either. It was, like, one of the oldest videos that I posted of UNIST. It was very strange. And then nothing happened for, like, 5 days. And then I got another email. Copyright notification again on one of the older videos. And so I got a couple of these, like maybe 3 or 4 more over the course of the next week, and then nothing for like the last 3 weeks. And then all of a sudden in the past 3 days I've gotten like 6 notifications of copyright again on music for UNIST. So basically because of that, I'm turning the music off when I play UNIST. And I know that can be a little jarring when the music's always there, right? So when it's absent, it's very noticeable. So my question that I want to pose to most of you is that would you be okay with me just turning the music off and leaving it like that? So all we're dealing with is me, the sound effects, the voice acting, and that's it. Alternatively, should I start looking into public domain music that, the entire point of public domain music is that it has no copyright, you can use it for whatever purpose you desire. Should I look into that, find fighting game appropriate public domain music, and have that playing? Whether or not I'm doing a replay theater, whether I'm just playing the game, whatever, I want to know which one you guys would prefer. Because it is unquestionable at this point that, like, I am not dealing with copyright shit. It's too much of a gray area. There's not enough. Plus, just the fact that, like, I don't want to suddenly lose my YouTube channel out of nowhere because they decide to stop just saying, like, hey man, that's my shit, I don't want you to be making money off of it, to, hey, that's my shit, you're doing illegal stuff, shut this dude down, right? Like, who knows when that switch gets flipped? I don't want to see that happen, obviously, so I will just remove the possibility of that happening completely if that's the case. So it is unquestionable at this point, like, that music's going away. It's just not playing, which sucks because there is a lot of UNIST music is really good, but not good enough to deal with that shit. So that's out the window. So that is my question, is ultimately, would you prefer that there just be no music at all, or should I be looking at a public domain stuff and start making playlists for that I can play alongside the game? So that is point number 1. That's done and dusted. Easy peasy. Point number 2. Evo. Mr. Wizard finally officially announced the registration numbers. He's been kind of periodically updating. Like, these are the leaders. Like, this is the leaderboard of the 8 games that are available. These are the ones that have like the most entrants or whatever. And so it's been pretty solid the entire time. Dragon Ball FighterZ has had the most, followed by Street Fighter V, followed by followed by Tekken, followed by both Smash games, then BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, Guilty Gear, and then at the bottom is Injustice. And it stayed that way the entire time. What actually surprised me, I thought the Dragon Ball FighterZ would get more than it did. I honestly believed that with how much the game sold, with how many people were watching tournaments and stuff online, I really legitimately believed that it would break 3,000 entrants. It didn't even get close. It only got 25-30. So that's kind of a little bit disappointing to me, because I really thought that it had a chance to break 3K, which it would have been the first game to do so ever since Street Fighter V had, its release year had that obscene 5,000 plus entrance number out of goddamn nowhere. And then it dropped down to 2,800 the next year. But yeah, so I did think it would do better than it ultimately did. I'm also somewhat impressed with Street Fighter V's staying power, just in general with how people talk about it, with how people regard it. I'm surprised that it had 2420. I don't know why I don't have it open and in front of me right now. You would have thought that would be an intelligent move. But apparently I am not intelligent enough, which does not surprise me in any way, shape, or form. 2421 is how many Street Fighter V Arcade Edition got. I am surprised by it. I really am. Especially, too, because the current characters that have been released this season, I don't think they've been really very well regarded. I don't really watch a whole lot of fighting games at the moment right now, because the only one that I actually enjoy, especially on the list of 8 that are at EVO, the only one I actually enjoy watching is Tekken. So I haven't been, religiously absorbing all the information I possibly can about each of the games. But whenever I see oh yeah, here are the results for Street Fighter V, here's what's been going on, I have not seen a single person play Sakura, Blanca, or Falca. I have not seen... Wow, I just really... they all end in I haven't seen any of them. And then obviously Cody was just very recently released, so who knows where he's at. But it does feel like the characters that have all been released so far this season have just been a gigantic flop, which is kind of worrisome, because Sagat's my favorite character in Street Fighter, period, and one of my favorite video game characters of all time. I really... when I was a kid, I saw the Street Fighter 2 animated movie, which I still enjoy to this day. I think it's a legitimately good movie. And there's this opening fight scene between Ryu and Sagat, and it was so badass, and Sagat looked so badass, and I was like, oh man, I love this character. And ever since then, I've just been a fan of Sagat. And so I'm kind of concerned, because he's the last character that's going to come out. So obviously, he's still months away, right? Cody just recently got released. I assume they're probably going to have a trailer for G ready at EVO. That'll probably be their big kind of Street Fighter V related news if they don't do anything else. Or I wonder if they're going to ramp it up. Because last year at EVO, didn't they announce the entire Season 2 lineup? But the character releases have been coming at a glacial pace. So, if they continue that pace, there's no way they're going to finish... Did I say Season 2? There's no way they're going to finish the Season 3 lineup by the time EVO rolls around. EVO's only a month away, yeah, and they haven't even released... It's less than a month away. And they haven't even announced anything about G. So there's no way any news is going to come out about Sagat. They still could announce a Season 4 lineup before that, but it's... People are going to be waiting a long time for it. It seems like it would kind of be bad to do that again when G and Sagat aren't even out yet. I don't know. But just with how the characters so far have been released, how they've been regarded, how they've been completely disregarded, is worrisome for the prospect of Sagat and what's going to happen to him. Because I really... I'll probably check him out when he comes out. I'll probably install Street Fighter V for the first time in a year and a half and check that shit out, because, like I said, Sagat's one of my favorite characters of all time. But that's a long way away. But Tekken 7, I'm very happy for. It is the only game that I'm aware of, aside from Street Fighter 4 Arcade Edition to Ultra Street Fighter 4, that grew. It got like 300 more entrants. Ultra got 300 more entrants than Arcade Edition. But that was also because everybody also knew that was the last year for Street Fighter 4 at EVO. It was done after that. Street Fighter 5 was coming out, and Street Fighter 4 was going to get boxed up and just forgotten. So it made sense that it grew year over year for that. Other than that one moment, no other game that I'm aware of in EVO's history has received more entrants year over year. For instance, Injustice 2 this year got 356 entrants. It got 883 last year. That is a huge decrease. Most aren't that drastic. Usually you lose like 100 here or there. I believe both Smash games lost around 200. Like, I believe they were both around 1,500 last year. They're both around 1,300 this year. But yeah, like, that's huge for Injustice. But again, they pretty much always lose entrants. Guilty Gear Xrd last year had like 800 something. This year, 621. That's just how it works. Tekken 7, though, it's grown every single year. It made perfect sense from 2016 to 2017, because 2016, that game wasn't out on consoles yet. Nobody really had ready access to it. So it's understandable that after the game comes out for the general public, it's going to receive a lot more entrants. And it did. It went from like 700 something to 1,200 something. That's a huge increase. But it went, again, from like 1,250-ish last year, I think. 1,504 this year. I'm really happy for it that it has increased like that, because it has its problems. I have my problems with it, but nothing with the game itself. I think it's one of the most well-balanced games. Like, you can play whoever the hell you want and be successful with that character in the game, which is very, very rare, especially now. Like, you look at the character diversity in Dragon Ball FighterZ, for instance, and it is just non-existent. There's like 8 characters people use, if that. I haven't been paying close enough attention to really know, but when I do tune in, it's pretty much always like Cell, Vegeta, Bardock, Gotenks. Shit, I can't even really think of anybody else. Kid Buu. That's kind of more or less it. And so to see a game where you really can legitimately just be like, you see that character select list? Play whoever the fuck you want. There are some characters that I pretty much never see. Claudio is one of them. Gigas is another one. Those are the 2 off the top of my head. But those are also 2 characters I'm interested in, so they're going to stand out more than others. But there is a huge amount of character diversity in terms of who people are playing and who people are winning with. So that's impressive in and of itself, and that's really good from a spectator perspective, because you get to see a variety of characters rather than just seeing the same ones over and over again. But I just think, like, Tekken 7 is the best fighting game, the best current fighting game that's available at the moment. I really do believe that. It is just that Namco Bandai seemingly cannot make a good online system to save their lives. Everybody that played Dragon Ball FighterZ knows all the flaws that game had initially. I'm sure some of them still exist. Obviously, I don't know if they do or not, because I haven't played the game in ages. But when I did stop playing the game, it still had numerous flaws with a variety of matchmaking things and modes and stuff. And when I stopped playing Tekken 7, I basically rage quit the game, because when it first came out, the matchmaking was terrible. It was taking obscenely long to actually find matches, and I don't know why that was the case. And then when you did find a match, you basically flipped a coin into whether or not you got into that match or not. For some reason, the game would just randomly disconnect you sometimes. And that made it all the more miserable that it was taking so long to match you up with somebody to begin with. But they fixed the one part. They fixed the problem that was making it take so long to find matches in the first place, but they didn't fix the stability issues. And so I just remember the last day I played Tekken 7, I waited for like 15 minutes searching for a match and just constantly getting, match has been found. Press A button to confirm that you want to play. Like, it shows you the connection quality. So you confirm that you want to play that match, you click the button, you wait for a little bit, and then it says, connection to opponent has been lost. That's it. Just over and over and over and over for 15 straight minutes. And then I finally got a fucking match. And the person rage quit on me. I was like, fuck! God damn it! And so then I hopped into matchmaking again. And the very first match that I got, let me confirm to get in there, connection to opponent has been lost. I quit the game. I removed the disc, I deleted the game from my hard drive, I shelved it, and it has been there ever since. And it's a goddamn shame, because like I said, I do firmly believe that Tekken 7 is the best fighting game available right now, but it's, from an online perspective, unless they fixed it since then, I have never seen any patches regarding further online stability fixes. As far as I'm aware, the last one that I looked at was the last one that was available. Otherwise, it's just been DLC characters, like they did Geese and Noctis. I don't know if they've done anybody besides them. I think that's it. And they added Tekken Bowling, which that kind of just rubbed salt in the wounds right there, that it's like, you have all these problems with your game's functionality, and you're over there making a fucking bowling game. Fuck you guys. that really did sting on top of it. That didn't help the matter. But aside from that, like, if you have a group of people that you can just make player match rooms with and grind against, or if you have an offline scene that you can go to, it's fucking fantastic. And I honestly believe it's the best fighting games available right now. And so I'm very happy that it is growing year over year. I 100% believe that it deserves it. I don't really have anything else to say. I really hope that there will be some announcements there, though. Like, for Dragon Ball FighterZ, I'm curious if... Ooh, so, I don't know where Dragon Ball FighterZ stands in terms of its Season Pass. I know they just recently announced Classic Goku and Classic Vegeta. Are there any more DLC characters after that, or does that satisfy the Season Pass? Because I think there were 8, right? You have Broly, Bardock. Is his name Zamasu? Like Fuse Zamasu or some shit like that? Whatever the fuck his name was. Vegito. No, and then I think it's just Classic Goku and Classic Vegeta, right? So that leaves 2 more potential DLC characters. I believe 8 were the ones that were announced. So that's not over yet. That would suck if all they announce for Dragon Ball FighterZ is 2 more DLC characters. They haven't even announced all the have they announced all the BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle DLC characters either? I know that there was that, like, that quote-unquote leaked list, but I don't think they've officially announced that either. That would be a really big bummer if all they do is announce DLC characters for both of those games. My pipe dream is that they're going to announce some huge overhaul of the game's balance for Dragon Ball FighterZ. Like, it has needed it. Ever since it was released, that game has needed it. It needs better and more assists. It needs... like, the characters need to all be buffed up. I mean, like, 90% of the cast needs to be buffed up to, like, Cell's level. And then, you know, obviously you keep the characters like Cell, Bardock, the ones that are used a lot right now. Just keep them where they're at. Buff everybody else up. It needs it. I really believe it desperately needs it. So yeah, it would be a really big bummer if all that they announce is DLC characters for those games. Same thing with Street Fighter V. Like, what are they going to do for Street Fighter V? They haven't even finished Season 3 yet. Because last year, if I remember correctly, they announced the entire Season 3 lineup all at once. But they can't really do that. They can't announce a new Season 4 because Season 3 isn't even finished yet. We don't know. Cody was just recently released. We don't know anything about G or Sagat. So really the only thing, I mean, just looking at these games specifically, right? Anything that has to do with these games or the studios behind these games. You can't really do much with Dragon Ball FighterZ because, again, they still have more DLC characters to release. They gotta focus on that. Street Fighter V, they still got more DLC characters. They gotta focus on that. Tekken 7 could do something, but I think they still have, like, a couple DLC characters that they have to do as well. I can't remember. Did they do a full season pass? Because there's no way only Akuma, Geese, and Noctis satisfy the entire season pass if that does exist. Smash, obviously, we know, like, they blew their load at E3. They are not going to have anything new to announce for anything. I mean, Nintendo's pretty much always stayed away from EVO as far as I'm aware, regardless. So expecting anything from the Smash realm of things is unlikely to begin with. BlazBlue Cross Tag Battle, again, they haven't officially announced all of their DLC characters. So that's probably the best you can expect there is more DLC. So really the only hope is looking at hopefully they do something with Guilty Gear. Whether it's a giant new version or another, you know, like Revelator-esque update. Which, you know, hopefully you hope for a Revelator-esque update, and then you start getting characters like Robo-Kai, Zappa, I don't know, anybody else people are looking forward to. Those are I'm looking forward to Zappa and Testament, but I don't think, like, Testament hasn't even been hinted at. And I have to imagine they would be concerned about releasing a character like Testament who has all those various zoning tools and whatnot that he does have available, how to properly balance them in Xard's version of the game. So I'm not really, as much as I would like to get Testament and play him, I'm not holding my breath, but Zappa would be nice. And I know Robo-Kai is very popular. But just, getting more of the classic Guilty Gear characters into Xrd would always be good. And obviously, Xrd, even ever since Revelators come out, hasn't exactly been in the best place entertainment-wise, right? Like, the entire game basically got taken over by Raven and Johnny. Neither one of which are particularly enjoyable to watch. Johnny would be enjoyable if you weren't aware of how brokenly good he is in comparison to everybody else in the cast. Just that knowledge of, like, how goddamn strong and oppressive he is just makes it like, who even gives a fuck? Like, he's so strong in comparison to everybody else, it saps all the energy out of the room when he wins. And then in regard to Injustice, like, you hope NetherRealm Studios has something cooking, because if they don't, 356 entrants this year at EVO for Injustice 2. There will not, if they don't have a Mortal Kombat 11 in the pipe or something like that, there will not be a NetherRealm Studios at next year's EVO. That's guaranteed off of those entry numbers, which will probably open the door. I mean, you have to imagine, even if Namco Bandai, I mean, obviously they're going to release Soul Calibur 6, but with how successful Tekken 7 has been, they're not going to sacrifice Tekken 7 just to put Soul Calibur 6 in there. I have to imagine both of them will be at EVO next year. So, is that just a straight replacement? What about the Dead or Alive that's coming out? I know that's receiving some public backlash because the developers of the game have come out and said, like, we're kind of trying to draw back on the TNA a little bit. And then there has been backlash to that, which is weird to me. Because, like, they say this, right? They say, we want this game to be taken a little bit more seriously. We don't want it to just be that game that's off on the side that's like, oh, that game's just perverts with the boob jiggle slider and stuff like that. We want it to be taken a bit more seriously than that. The fact that that comment receives backlash shows how immature and stupid a lot of the people that play games are. But regardless, it blows my mind that they say this and people are like, well, shit! The fan service is completely gone. The game is ruined. Fuck Dead or Alive. I'm not even interested in it anymore. And that's their mentality, while simultaneously staring at a trailer showing off Kasumi in a skin-tight leather outfit and heels. What? The fan service is very obviously still there. It's just not gonna be so blatant. Like, ugh. People are so dumb, I just can't wrap my head around it. Regardless, I mean, maybe. Because I think Dead or Alive did have 1 year at EVO. I have no idea when or where, and I didn't watch any of it. If it was there, but I do believe it was a main stage game once. I think for Dead or Alive 4, not for Dead or Alive 5. But you have to imagine both Tekken 7 and Soul Calibur are going to be there next year. Dragon Ball FighterZ will probably see a repeat just because, I mean, it's the #1 most registered for game this year. There's no way they're just going to drop it out of the blue for next year. It's going to be interesting to see how many people are still playing it next year, especially if the game does not receive balance changes. Oh, that's right, but Namco Bandai did reveal an official tournament series for it, too. That's becoming popular now. Like, obviously, Capcom started with Capcom Pro Tour. They had their own version of it for Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, which basically nobody knew about because nobody gave a shit about that game. But, Namco Bandai did it for Tekken 7. NetherRealm Studios, I think, did their own thing for Injustice, I want to say. And I believe the devs for Killer Instinct had their own tournament series as well. But yeah, it's becoming a popularized thing, which is good. Like, the more tournaments you can get into, the more money's poured into them, the more sponsors poured into them. It's all good for everybody. And hopefully it continues. But, I don't know. I'm kind of trying to think of, like, what could happen next year. I have to, like, if nothing happens with Guilty Gear, I have to imagine that game's gone. It's not going to see another EVO until it receives some sort of update. Same thing with Injustice. Like, there's no way Injustice is coming back. So either NetherRealm Studios has Mortal Kombat 11 ready by next year's EVO, or they're not going to have a game. How long has it been? Have they had, ever since Mortal Kombat 9, I think, came out, they've had a game at EVO. But they, like I said, they definitely won't unless Mortal Kombat 11 gets released next year. So you have to, I mean, obviously Street Fighter 5 is going to come back, Dragon Ball FighterZ is going to come back. Smash may not. You think they'd get rid of Melee? Is there a possibility in some world where Melee gets dropped finally? I wonder. Because you have to imagine Smash 4 is going to get replaced with, what do they call it, Smash Ultimate or whatever the Switch version is. How are they going to deal with the Switch? Holy shit, now that I think about it. You know how fucking easy it would be? Just grab a Switch and walk off with it? Like, just thinking about it, it is so portable, it's so small. Security around that and ensuring all the consoles stay where they're at would have to be like a fucking nightmare. I wonder. That's actually kind of a legitimate concern that I haven't really thought about until now. Like, it would have to be the easiest thing in the world to just walk off, like, just undock the Switch and walk off with the portable version of it. How much does a Switch dock cost? Now it's like I'm kind of considering, how do I do this for myself? About $60 looks like, around there. Is what they're selling. I mean, if they sell for used. Oh wait, no, that's a brand new one for $65. Why am I looking on eBay? Why don't I look at Amazon? Amazon's kind of a more official. Why is Nintendo highlighted by, what's it called? Spell check. How is Nintendo not considered an official word in any spell check lexicon in the world? Yeah, $54. So it's not all that expensive, really. I wonder, man. I really do have to believe that has to be a security nightmare. It's kind of one of the reasons, too, that I think it's going to be so damn difficult to deal with, like, because I know there are a lot of people pushing for the PC versions to be played instead of the console versions for a variety of reasons, and I certainly understand those reasons and I agree with them. But I'm just, like, when you have something like EVO, right, it's not like setting up a LAN tournament or something like that where, like, in general you usually have, like, 2 squads of people playing at any given time. You have to have, like, 100+ setups to run a tournament of EVO size and actually get it done over the course of a weekend. That's the really difficult part when you're talking about trying to get into switching away from consoles instead of PCs. Switching to PCs instead of using consoles. And I have to imagine, again, it would just be like a security nightmare to make sure all that equipment stays locked down and nobody fucks with it at all. But yeah, I hadn't really thought about that, how they're going to deal with a Nintendo Switch once Smash Ultimate comes out. Like I said, I have to imagine that's going to be a fucking nightmare. Plus, even just plugging in, like, I don't know how many of you guys have Switches, but the ports for them all, not the most accessible things in the world. Do they even have headphone ports? Now that I think about it, I don't think the Switch even has, like, a headphone jack. I think the, let me look at this real quick. Hang on. Oh, my legs hurt. I've been doing, oh, Jesus, help me, I'm gonna fall. I've been a little bit lax in getting into weightlifting. But I need to. Oh, no, there's one headphone jack on top. I mean, obviously that doesn't exactly help you, because if you're being competitive, you want multiple sets of headphones. So even that would be a bit of a nightmare. But yeah, like, the ports are not very accessible on the Switch. They're kind of like, there's 2 USB ports on the side, which I guess that'd be more or less fine for people that want to plug in their sticks. But yeah, if you want to deal with, like, a splitter for headphones or anything like that, like, fuck, man. The Switch is not a good console for tournaments. Just thinking about it, it's not, like, that's... Huh. That's interesting how they're going to deal with that. I'm curious about it. Or even if they are going to deal with it. It seems like there's going to be so many issues with the Switch in general in regard to a tournament setting. Huh. I don't know. I'm glad I don't have to deal with that shit. That's for damn sure. Do I have anything else to talk about in regard to EVO? Yeah, like, I mean, that's really it. I'm curious about what the announcements are going to be. I am more curious about what the announcements are going to be this year than the games themselves, because I just have no attachment whatsoever to any of these games. Like, this is definitely the first time in a long time that I'm just like, yeah, who gives a shit? I mean, I'll probably watch Tekken 7, but I think that's it. I'll probably watch Guilty Gear, but I haven't really given a shit about Guilty Gear or really enjoyed Guilty Gear for the past couple of years. And I can't imagine that's going to change this year, because everybody's pretty much set in the characters they use. None of the characters that I personally enjoy are likely to have a chance. I do know that apparently Kappa is sponsoring Fab to come out to this year's EVO, so it would be nice to see him potentially get success in Guilty Gear. But he is a Potemkin player at a major tournament, and Potemkin is just one of those characters where it's super fucking hard to get through an entire tournament bracket with him. It's too easy to counterpick him. There's too many people that are godlike at the characters that do counterpick him. And so as much as you would like to see somebody like Fab win, the chances of it are slim to none, which is obviously a shame. But I mean, aside from that, like, there's really nothing about Guilty Gear that keeps me attached to it. Y'all know my opinion about the rest of the anime games that are there. Injustice 2, I could not care less about. And Smash, it's always been there, but it's never been something that I really enjoyed. So it's really just Tekken 7 for me this year. That's it. Shit. That makes me sad. I need better fighting games in my life. Anyway, that's pretty much it for what I wanted to talk about, and I've rambled on for long enough. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoyed it. Leave your comments. I'll respond to them if they are, questions or debates that you wish to have. That's basically it. Peace.